Hello, Real Writers. Chris here for your weekly Sunday Journal with Me session. I'm posting last week's session at the same time, and pardon the delay. I had a work event last weekend, and though I did record the video, I just didn't get to doing all the little editing. These are very low-key videos, but there's still a little bit of editing and just filling it out and posting and loading and all of that stuff. I just never got to it. I'm still sort of recovering from the work event. And then I, as mentioned in the video, was going to a corn maze with my niece and nephews and my sister and some of their friends. And that turned out to be really fun. But it's a full day thing to go see them. It's a 2-hour drive there and a 2-hour drive back. But it was really fun. And so that's why my recovering is really this weekend because that was my weekend. Work and then corn maze, which was fun. And I posted, I'm going to share a little bit of that video at the end of this one because I took some video in the corn maze. Just silly family stuff if you're interested. Or maybe I'll post it via a secret link in the description box if you'd like to see it, not force it on you. So welcome to Journal with Me. Today it's raining outside. It's started to turn cold. Hallelujah. I actually have a scarf on. I'm very excited, and socks. This is my time of year. I love this. And so I've broken out my Chrysalis tarot by Toney Brooks with paintings by Holly Sierra. And this is a very whimsical, friendly deck that I love that I put away for a while. And so I thought I would bring it out today. And I also, I'm still using the peacock ore stone. I hope you can see all the different colors, and it's shimmery and kind of glittery. Peacock ore is the stone of happiness. It helps identify the cause of negativity and filter it out of the body. This stone helps us deal with stress and obstacles that block our path to a specific goal. So that's a nice energy to have. So put this over here on the deck. And let's get started, shall we? Pick a card, 1, 2, or 3, starting from the left, or left, center, right, whatever appeals to you, or pick 2 or pick 3 after we've looked at them all. It's up to you for your reading today. And let's see card number 1. Card number 1 is the Sorceress, also known as the High Priestess in the traditional deck. Interesting. This makes me think of some videos I would like to do over the next few weeks, and that is based on your life path number and your sun sign number as they sun sign as they relate to the tarot, and journaling on those things. And the High Priestess, and the High Priestess is my card for 2019. So very interesting. And there's a raven. I love these cards because they're so vivid, but also really fun. So the Sorceress card, the High Priestess. I'm not well versed in reading tarot. It's something I aspire to learn to, and I dabble now and again. So I'm just going to read you the meaning as in the book and anything that comes to me. So the attributes for this card are mysticism and magic. Sorceress Morgan Le Fay is pictured in vibrant hues of mysticism and magic. Her talisman represents the pomegranate, food of the otherworld, and a symbol of the triple goddess. We can feel the fruitful energy swirling in the background as it explodes in a crescendo of bursting light from Morgan's hand. Woven spirals symbolize the infinite transformative energy of the sorceress. In your reading, Morgan points to one of your more challenging encounters in attaining transformation. Morgan does her magic at the curtain that separates the seen and unseen worlds. The ravens, insatiably curious when magic is active, swoop in to flavor her cauldron with magical synchronicity, those coincidences that confirm you're on the right track. Well, that's good to know. I also know that the High Priestess is about the conscious and the subconscious, and she is the sister of the Empress. And the Empress is about giving birth to life, to the world, to creation. And the sorceress is about living in these magical, mystical, metaphysical, living in and through these magic, mystical, and metaphysical arts. So, as this says, I'm still, sorry everyone, braces, still, and I'm entering my 4th month past my 2-year deadline, and I've just really told them I will not do this any longer. So by the end of the year, I will be able to speak more clearly. As this mentions, this is about a challenging encounter in attaining transformation, but you are on the right track. So your question today might be, what have you tried to transform this year that is very slow in transforming, or you can't even see any movement? You're working really hard, but you can't see movement yet. I mean, there is still time. And what I get from this card is that you have the power. You are in control. You are working with these seen and unseen forces, with the subconscious and the conscious, with all of the magic and metaphysical and mystical arts. They're all at your beck and call. And you also have the aid of the raven. Here, you are in control of this. It is not in control of you. It's a partnership between you and these forces and your abilities. So try to remember that in case you feel like the situation is ruling you, and take a second look. Take a second look at what you've been trying to do and your goal, and see if you can adjust things a little bit. Maybe you're on the right track, but you just need to look to the side of the road, or there's a fork, and take the path you didn't expect to take, and look behind you and see if you've missed anything. So take a second look at what you've been trying to transform and see what's possible, see what's already happened, give yourself credit, and see what's possible ahead of you in terms of the transformation. The transformation might be yourself. You're trying to transform yourself, and perhaps you've given yourself a little bit of an unrealistic deadline. Transformation is an ongoing process. So if you said in 2019, I'm going to do this, and now it's October, almost November, in a couple of weeks, and you haven't done those things, you might be feeling the pressure. But this, transformation doesn't have to fit neatly into a calendar year. But this looks like to me a very fun, positive card, and see what else you might maybe also consider. What has been transforming that you didn't plan on transforming? It's just been happening of its own accord, and you've just been sort of trying to keep up. Maybe this is the time to take a second look at that and journal on that. Card number 2. Hooray, the Muse. If you're an artist of any kind, writer, photographer, dancer, painter, musician, filmmaker, whatever, poet, here's your card. This is the Queen of Spirals. Let's see. The Queen of Spirals. I have to search for this. So in the traditional deck, this is the Queen of Wands. The attributes are nurturing, inspiring, and being the muse. The muse shares the qualities of a gentle fawn. She emerges from her magic forest in times of difficulty or indecision. The muse can make herself known through a maternal presence or your inner voice, the stream of consciousness that knows you better than you know yourself. The muse brings comfort by assuring you of her concern and constancy. Like a guardian angel, she inspires the courage you need to make difficult choices. So this follows beautifully from the first card. The Muse is here to support you in your transformation if you'd like to work with all of these cards at once. And, maybe you've had a creative project this year and it hasn't gone as expected, or you've had to give a creative project up. Sometimes you put things away. If you're a writer or painter, whatever, any kind of artistic project, maybe it didn't go well, it wasn't the right time. You had the idea, it's a good idea, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen now. getting it started and getting it cemented in your mind and heart and soul as a creator, that's great. And maybe it just needs to be needs to sit and settle and simmer for a while, and then you can come back to it later. So if that is the decision you're facing, you need to step back from a project, or it's not working and you need to give it up, whatever it is, there's something better coming, whether that's a new version of the project or a different, better project that this, whatever you were working on, is a stepping stone to, and is making, or a bridge to, and is making that next great thing possible. So there is no, if you are doing anything creative, or kind of this works in life completely actually, there is no such thing as a failure, because in something not working, it's still a stepping stone, it's still a bridge, it's still a learning experience, it's still another piece of the puzzle that you didn't have, that now makes it possible for you to move to the next thing, to understand the next thing, to learn the skill, to get the job, to finish the project, to meet the person, to take the trip, to move, to whatever, to change your life. Whatever it is, big or small, it doesn't matter. Everything is a piece of the puzzle. It's not a failure. It's just didn't turn out the way you expected. And I think we often always expect things to turn out beautifully and wonderfully with confetti and stars and fireworks and someone handing us a big prize or a check and our name in the paper or whatever. We're famous. I think people just expect things to just, and it's good to expect things to go well, but be prepared also for things sometimes not to go as expected, but still understand what the lesson is there. So the muse hasn't abandoned you. If you feel like you're in a creative slump, the muse has not abandoned you. She's here, and you have choices. You just need to have the courage to make them. So if you're in this position, perhaps you might journal today on where you are creatively, or with something you're trying to do in your life. And that could be redesigning a house, redesigning a room. It doesn't have to be, could be making a piece of clothing. It could be whatever. It doesn't have to be literally arts with a capital A. So you could be redesigning your website, just anything creative. So maybe you've been feeling stuck, or it's not working, and you've put in a lot of time and energy, and you have a difficult choice ahead of you. Here's the muse telling you it's time to make that choice, and she's here to help and give you ideas and spark your creativity and inspiration and imagination so that you can move forward with whatever you decide. So maybe you might journal on that. And the last card, oh my goodness, we're getting some super powerful cards today, is the Visionary, or the Knight of Scrolls. I love this card. It's really... And there are peacock feathers there at the top here. So it goes with our peacock ore, which is very shimmery and purple and blue. Oh my gosh, this thing. So today we got the Sorceress, the Muse, and the Visionary. These are all very interesting, inspiring, exciting cards that are all about, magic and mysticism and the metaphysical and all of that, and the creative. So that's, excuse me, these are all great. So imagine, if nothing comes up for you with these, imagine you're having lunch with all three of these and what each one would tell you. Imagine you're sitting down with each one and they're giving you one piece of advice or an observation about you or your life or whatever your question is about, or whatever is top of mind in your life this morning or this afternoon when you watch this video, or whenever you watch this video. So imagine they're giving you advice if these questions aren't resonating with you. So the Visionary is the Knight of Swords. His attributes are healer, traveler, and mystic. With his exotic rattle and joyful Mina bird, the Visionary is the troop's spiritual healer. So this deck has a group of troops for all of the court cards. They're called troop. They're members of a troop, and they've renamed, Toney and Holly have renamed the court cards different things, like the poet, the mime, the weaver, the muse, the watcher, the healer, the dreamer, the pilgrim. So that's why it says troop. So I'll start over, sorry. With his exotic rattle and joyful minor bird, the visionary is the troop's spiritual healer. He resolves conflicting energies that confuse or misguide you. He helps you acquire patience as you await good things from beyond new horizons. New beginnings offer abundant possibilities, yet it's important to progress deliberately, step by step, pursuing pathways of light with a clear and open mind. How do you discover pathways of light? Eat wisely, meditate frequently, and love unselfishly. The visionary helps you appreciate life holistically. So these cards work really well together. The sorceress is helping you see clearly where you are and what the options are for transformation, that this power is available to you, the power of transformation. The muse is there to help give you the courage to make any tough choices, because transformation is not always sweetness and light. Transformation and change can often be very, very hard. I wished for change a couple of years ago because I was in a very stuck, stagnant place, and I took the action in front of me, and it was 2 years of I don't want to say hell because I don't want to make it too dramatic, but it was one of the toughest 2 years of my life in a very, very, very long time, decades. So I got the transformation I wanted, but it was hard and it came at a cost, and there were multiple difficult decisions and crossroads, and some decisions I made didn't work, and I had to make other decisions that were just as hard. So, just know that you might need someone standing by your side to give you the courage and support, and that's the muse. She can also help you find creative ways to navigate these decisions and your transformation. So that's positive. Use your imagination. Um, and the visionary speaks of the new beginning that comes after you've made the decision and the transformation that is taking place. And it takes time, it doesn't happen overnight. So he's offering you patience and spiritual healing, and to remind you to focus on a pathway of light with a clear and open mind as you move through this transformation down the new path after you've made your decision. So you might be in different stages of change in your life. You might look at these cards that way. Maybe you are, the sorceress, trying to determine exactly what the change you're looking for should be and how you'd like to go about it. Maybe and now you're faced with the difficult decisions that the muse can help you with. And maybe you're on the other side of that decision and now you're waiting for things to unfold, and maybe it's a little dark and a little difficult, and the visionary is reminding you to focus on light and keep a clear and open mind. Things are darkest before the dawn, as they say. So, maybe you could journal on looking back through these cards or this process, if this applies to you, how that worked, and finding the light or the positive in the experience, and acknowledging and celebrating what you went through and that you survived and you did your best. And looking forward to what's ahead. The visionary is saying now it's a new beginning. So if you pick this card, now you can vision. Look ahead, dream big. What's ahead? What might be possible now that things are behind you and the transformation process is now in full swing, or perhaps in this particular instance, it's completed in terms of the shift. And now a next aspect of transformation comes where you're transforming after making the shift. It's a several stage process, and like I said, it's ongoing. So now you can see the clouds are parting, and now you can see. What do you see? What do you want to see? This is where you can use your imagination. So, shall we journal? Let's journal for 10 minutes. That's our journaling session for today. Please feel free to pause and keep going if you'd like. One thing I wanted to mention that came up for me, and that is, if when there is transformation, often you are moving on from things or leaving things behind, or yeah, there's an empty space. And it's important to be careful what you do with that space. It can be very uncomfortable to have an empty space, literally or figuratively, emotionally, mentally, physically, or if it's just literally an empty nest kind of thing with your kids leaving, or a divorce, or end of a relationship, or you've moved into your own place after living in a house with other people, or a roommate, or a pet's passed on, or whatever, there's been a death perhaps. Um, you know, don't rush to fill that space, because that space is a gift in some way. There's a gift in there, there's a lesson in there, and you want to leave room for that gift to reveal itself, that lesson to reveal itself, and that next step to reveal itself. It's very uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels really great and you just revel in it and you're thinking, oh my gosh, thank goodness I have some space, I can breathe. But then sometimes a little anxiety can creep into that, so don't let that force you into changing when you're not ready, or saying yes to something when you're not ready, or filling your time with lots of things and people and activities that aren't really what you want. You're just doing them to fill the space. So that's what came up for me. I'm sort of in that position right now, and I'm trying to leave that space free and be careful how I fill it. And it is super uncomfortable, but when I don't rush in, I'm always grateful later to still have that space. So if that applies to you, I thought I would share that just in case it resonates. So thank you for joining me, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday and rest of the week. And happy writing.